These relationships are mainly started for sex.
What is love? For you, is loving about controlling or about letting go? The only relationship that works is a loving relationship swinger world. According to this, you and I choose, but that rarely happens. For me, non-monogamy has many aspects. One of them is infidelity.
98% of the marriages I know are non-monogamous. It's just that nobody knows.
Exactly.
My dear Conquista tu Mundo community, welcome to another episode of this, your podcast, with me as your mentor. I'm very happy to have you here, and today I bring you a wonderful topic that you're going to love. It's going to blow your mind, and you'll definitely enjoy it. I have my colleague and now friend Adriana Reinking with me. How are you? Welcome.
Oh, Johnny, how could I not be? I feel honored. I feel happy to be here, really happy.
Same here, Adriana. Honestly, I'm happy because, as you said, we have a lot in common in the topics we talk about. I have a phrase on my Instagram that says, love does exist, but we were taught wrong. And you write here, life partners or cellmates in your book. Why the title of the book?
You know, one day I was talking to an American couple who had already been married for quite a few years, and I asked her after so many years, aren't you ready to let go of the fear?
How many years had they been together?
I think it was about 19 years. And I said to her, aren't you ready to let go of your fear and tell your partner, both verbally and through your actions, that you are freeing him from all your fears? And she said to me, no, 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 we are soulmates. Or at least that's what I understood, that she meant we are soulmates. But actually, I told her, well, if you are soulmates, why don't you let him go? And she tells me, I didn't say soulmate, I did say cellmate.
Cellmates.
We are cellmates. And this is what I ask people, you have a partner? Do you want to build something with her? What do you want to have in her? A life partner or a cellmate?
And here we get into the topic that you and I love to talk about and teach because we've also experienced it. Why is it that if everyone could consciously answer you, they'd say a life partner? I don't think anyone would answer a cellmate. Why do we end up playing the role of a cellmate?
I say it's because we're human and we're controlled by our fears. We haven't learned to master them. So we're puppets of the anxiety and fear we live with. And our beliefs weigh more. All the beliefs we've been adopting since we were little until now, obviously adding romantic thinking. And so we can't do anything but be controlled by those beliefs that basically say, if I love you and you love me, I belong to you and you belong to me.
And I control you because if I don't, my fears come to the surface.
Exactly. Fear is what will push any human being to control.
He doesn't want to feel fear or pain.
And at the same time, he wouldn't like to control. But since we've already normalized control as something loving, we end up confused, thinking that we love when we're really controlling.
Give me an example of that fine line between control and love, because many people, for example, argue about things like, hey, what's up? Where are you? It could be, hey, what's up? Where are you? Because I'm worried and you haven't updated me, or just because I need to know your location. What other example would you suggest?
The same one I'll tell you by knowing how to ask the question. How are you, my love? Do you want to tell me where you are? I'm just worried. It's a language. Loving is an action. You say love does exist. We were taught wrong. I say love doesn't exist if it's not shown with actions. And actions are a language of love. To begin with, people are already justifying their question of where are you by saying I'm just very worried. We live in Mexico City. There's a lot of, I take responsibility for you. And I say, well, show me your love by believing in me because I'm not a little girl, I'm a woman.
Most people enter a relationship through one of two doors.
To the relationship.
Awareness or wound, which is the most commonly crossed door.
Exactly.
Awareness is rarely crossed.
Very rarely.
And the wound is what leads us to these fears, to this desire to control, to not feel pain, to want to feel that the other person belongs to us, that they will be exclusive to us in every way, right? Financially, sexually, in every way. Where do you think couples have their first big opportunity to enter a crisis and say, we need to talk, we need to reconfigure ourselves?
First, I like it. I love your question, but I like to make it personal. It's not done as a couple. The trigger, the detonator for that is personal.
I like it.
It could be a divorce or even just talking about divorce. It could be the feeling of being trapped in a relationship, which I know thousands of people, that even being with the person they love, they feel trapped in the relationship. Who is trapping them? The person, well, sometimes by showing their fear. But they're also trapped by beliefs about how things should be, about how I should behave with you since you're my partner. So there are a lot of triggers. One of them is infidelity. That was my trigger.
What kind of trigger was that for you?
For me, it was like that. I was 21 years old. I had been with my partner for 4 years, and she fell in love with another woman. So, well, I almost died, and I reacted the way I had been trained to react.
How?
Violence, everything as a victim. How could you do this to me? How could you cheat on me? How could you lie to me?
Was there infidelity in your home?
There never has been, and there never was.
With your parents?
In my parents? No.
So you probably picked up that training culturally.
Ah, yes.
The soap operas,
This is culture.
the songs.
Not even there. It's from everyone you were finding out about.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, in your mind, you reach this unconscious point, of course, of, okay, I have to make a big scene because besides the fact that it hurts, of course it hurts, I can't react in a mature way.
Yes, and you don't want to be the fool in the story.
Of course.
So you kind of grab onto what you call dignity. And I was living all of that without thinking about it, and I left my partner. And then after about 3 months, because remember, I was 21 years old, now I'm 64. There were no cell phones, none of that existed. So if we wanted to talk, we had to look for each other, meet at a certain place. Once we met, and every time we did, you could see the deep connection we had between us. As friends, and as that love that had already gone beyond friendship to this feeling where you truly believe you love. And I say it like that because obviously my trigger was that she fell in love with someone else. But when I was already in this separation and in my introspection, there was a moment when my daughter would say, "Mom, you had an epiphany." Do you know what it was? It's you who doesn't love her because she's living something beautiful. She looks gorgeous, radiant, everything. And you're jealous. You wish he would leave her. You don't want her to have that happiness she's living.
Who told you that?
I told myself.
Oh, you told yourself that?
I had that epiphany.
Ah, the epiphany.
This is because I'm a natural philosopher. My philosophy was about what it means to love.
Okay, okay.
And I thought I loved until reality hit me that I didn't love.
And then, sorry for interrupting you, but you were saying, I'm jealous. I see her happy.
And I don't like it because I'm not the one causing it. Why am I not the one who brings her joy and happiness? So I had to, when we met and she told me, it's just that I'm not interested in other people. What I want is to keep building something with you. I told her, me too, but we can't do it the same way because we're going to fall into the same thing. I want to learn to love in a different way, one where I don't hurt you and it doesn't hurt me. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm asking you for patience, okay? But you can do whatever you want with whoever you want, whatever you want. But what I told him there at that moment was, but I want to know everything. So obviously now with Adriana Renkin already cooked, already out of the oven, I say, and you thought you loved even more, that you had evolved. But I was still controlling Johnny?
Let me recap a little to clarify the timeline. It's she was unfaithful to you under the traditional agreement you had.
Exactly.
Did you find out later? Did she tell you, or what happened?
She told me. I asked her and she confessed to me just like that immediately.
Oh, because you suspected.
I just suspected, remember? Look, you even did this to me. There were no cell phones.
Sure.
There was a feeling of distance, a little bit of, she's not talking to me all the time because we didn't live together. It was a feeling of something is off, and I just said something is off. Am I just imagining it? And she didn't lie to me.
She didn't lie to me.
She told me this happened. She even held my hand and said, I love you. This is not love.
What was the reason she explained to you for why she went to look for something outside?
No, she didn't go looking for it.
Or was it given to her?
It's almost always given. It's very rare for people to look for it.
Why did she accept? Was something wrong in her relationship?
No, everything in our relationship was amazing. We were a very young couple.
Okay.
We still had really good sex, everything. We were super young girls. What is it? It's a person, a human being who felt attracted to someone else, someone new, someone different, someone who made them feel something that I was never going to be able to do anymore because I was her everyday life. I was someone she already knew, and the desire she felt was fueled by that, by something surprising, by someone who looked at her differently than I did. Yes, she explained it to me.
And before this epiphany, did you ever feel afraid to say, if someone else sees her differently, if I see her differently and she likes those looks more, could this end?
Of course you felt that way, and it's great that she dared to live and be true to herself. Today, I don't even like the words fidelity or infidelity anymore. For me, those are concepts that are only connected to control and fear. I only ask you to be faithful to me for one reason, from my point of view, because I'm afraid you'll fall in love with someone else and leave.
It's true. Look, here we're being completely honest, as we say in Mexico. When I'm talking with my wife, with friends, at couples gatherings and so on, these topics come up. Monogamy, polygamy, infidelity, and so on. And when I talk with my friends, it's like all of them, in that typical male longing, say to me, Johnny, I wish my wife would give me a free pass without any problems or anything. I tell them, but warn that you'd have to give her the same thing too.
Of course.
No, I don't like that anymore.
That's what I find the most inconsistency.
It's inconsistency, but it's also this part of saying, like, I mean, there's a clash, but of course it's inconsistency. But then the woman also opens up and says, yeah, I would like it because it would be cool because we could both explore. But just like you said, I'm afraid he might fall in love with someone else. What I see the most is that the common factor, correct me if I'm wrong, is the woman is afraid that the man will fall in love with someone else and obviously lose everything they've built together, the financial security, and a lot of things like that. And for the man, it's more like something makes him feel, I don't want to use the wrong word, but it's not that he's afraid she'll fall in love with someone else. It's just that it doesn't fit in his head. How would you describe that?
Well, the way a lot of people express it to me is I want freedom for myself. And I don't know how to give her or him freedom. Because nowadays I find many women who are more economically powerful than their husbands.
Yes, they are.
And that's when suddenly he also starts to feel jealous, but the kind of jealousy we're talking about, Johnny, I don't know what you think, but I believe it has more to do with if you go out with someone else. I'm afraid that the resources and assets and everything we've worked for could be diluted with someone else.
Yes, from the woman to man perspective, I see it very clearly. Man to woman, it's not that I've studied it like you have, but I see it more like the man loses. He loses his
His machismo?
his muse, his Yes, that's it. But it's like, yes, it could be machismo.
It's machismo, but pure.
Do you think so? Or maybe he just doesn't give them the information? I mean, they've never even questioned it.
The fact that he doesn't give them the information has to do with machismo.
Yes.
There is a cultural, social mandate that she's your woman. That's how you say it. You introduce her as your woman. It's like telling your friends, when you say, let me introduce you to my woman, there's a hidden mandate. You don't play with my toys.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it made a lot of sense to me, yeah.
This is mine, but that control is subtle. The control is towards them and towards her too. You are mine. My husband, you also send a message to everyone, yes. For example, now that I've been married for 33 years to the one I call my Mike is Miguel, my husband, and I call him my Mike, but ask him if he has ever felt like he belongs to me. If I have ever been jealous in any way, well, yes, I evolved in that first relationship I had.
Yes, yes.
I had to do it. I had my trigger. And when we got back, she and I opened up the relationship, and I had no idea what we were getting into. We didn't have polyamory to say. It wasn't even called a relationship. In my mind, an open relationship, I had never even thought about it. I didn't know what that was.
If you want, we can go that way. We'll return to the interesting part about agreements.
Yes.
And about how to open up the talk, the conversation at a given moment. When we talk about polygamy, what exactly are we referring to?
Polygamy, I wouldn't even like for you to use that word because it's very rare in Mexico. It means marrying two women.
Polygamy?
Yes, Gamey. But polysex or polyamory or poly in love, call it something else. It's not polygamy. Obviously, we say it like that because we use monogamy.
Yes.
And monogamy also means being married to one person.
Okay.
But we use it for your girlfriend or your boyfriend, even if you're not married.
Yes. Nowadays, in these times of information, the terms are a little bit loose.
But just so people don't get confused.
Okay, I saw monogamy as you're exclusively with someone. Polygamy is being sexually involved with many people.
Now let's call it polygamy in relation to, or non-monogamy and monogamy. Non-monogamy.
Okay, I like it. So when we talk about non-monogamy, what are we referring to? Does it have to do with polyamory or open relationships, or is it something completely different?
From my point of view, because as you said, all of this is labels and labels and labels with different meanings for each person. For me, non-monogamy has many branches. One of them is infidelity. Or is there monogamy and infidelity?
Of course not.
But of course you put it as if I'm monogamous.
Of course.
And you defend it.
Yes.
Is that relationship open or not open?
It's open, but not by agreement.
I call it ethical non-monogamy. I mean, not ethical. I mean, you're preventing the other person from doing the same thing as you.
Okay.
Or you're not even giving them the chance to bring it up.
Okay.
Because you're also afraid of what we were talking about. I want to have this free pass to do things, but I don't want to give it to my wife.
Of course.
So what do I do? Well, I'll keep it a secret.
Of course. I want the pleasure that comes with the free pass, but don't talk to me about paying a price. I don't want the effort.
I don't even want to think about my wife enjoying someone else.
All right.
No?
All right.
So when I hear all that, I associate it with anything you want except love.
I agree with you.
Right?
Now then, non-monogamy includes infidelity.
Infidelity is, well, open relationships.
What would those open relationships look like?
Well, there's already an agreement where you say, I do want to have a relationship with you. A relationship, I call it a base relationship. But we have the chance that when someone shows up or we feel like looking, do what you want. But what we're building is here. So the relationship becomes open.
I mean, the home, the couple, the family is here, but we have the possibility
Yes.
to be with other people sexually.
Yes. Ask me if I feel like it works.
Do you think it works?
No.
Why?
Because open relationships just by being open don't work. The only relationship that works is a loving relationship.
I agree.
How is it characterized, or what is the characteristic from my point of view of a loving relationship? There is no control.
Okay, I like it, but let's see. Let's think about this open relationship so we don't confuse people with the terms, which is, I love you, but we're agreeing that we can be with other people. Does being with other people include just sex or also dates and trips?
That all depends on the people. There's no manual for how an open relationship should be.
Okay.
Just like there's no manual that anyone has followed for what to do in monogamy.
Absolutely, because I also think that I'm going to guess a percentage. 98% of the marriages I know are not monogamous. It's just that nobody knows. Exactly. Okay, and then comes a different step.
That's it. It's always going to be a non-monogamy, but there are people who get into the scene, into the swinger world.
Swinger.
They are couples swapping with other couples, but I also find them very controlling because it's you and me with someone that supposedly you and I choose, but that rarely happens. I choose because I have more power than you.
Okay, that's also control.
A lot from my point of view.
Okay.
And that's even though I have a lot of swinger friends, both men and women, whom I respect and who have taught me wonderful things. We have discussions and get into this debate about whether there is control or not.
Okay.
And eventually everyone has admitted that yes, there is.
Okay, so no, we still haven't found
No.
the most peaceful solution.
But it's a step like monogamy, you know, they want this
Curiosity.
curiosity and not letting themselves, so they think the swinger world is really cool where you can, if you live it well and with love, it can be a great thing. Because eventually from there they also say, it's just that a woman would say, I don't want to be with you and you, I want to be with her or with him. And I don't want you to come, and there it goes back to, it's like bringing up the free pass in monogamy.
Of course, okay, that would still be before, or well, not before, but it's different from what polyamory is, right? Polyamory is already a formal relationship.
Exactly. And all three of these are still ethical monogamies because there's no cheating. Everyone involved has to know about it.
Which ones would be ethical? Swinging,
Yes, of course, it's
an open relationship, and polyamory.
even if there's control,
That's what I was getting at because it's still a formula that hasn't been refined yet.
refined, lovingly refined.
Exactly.
It seems like it. When I need you so much and I express it to you, you think that or that you're expressing love. But needing someone has nothing to do with loving someone. No?
Now you say that, but these relationships are mainly open for sex or to find experiences with other people that you don't have at home. For example, maybe I love my wife and maybe she's the best and we have a loving relationship and we love it, but I don't know, I'll say something, I'm missing a spark, or I'm missing the fun, or is it just sexual?
No, in my case, since I've been a consultant talking about this topic for years, most of it is sexual discrepancy, which is I want it one way and you want it another. I want it more, you hardly want it at all. So, but I love you. There's always a but I love you in there. There's no problem between them more than just the sexual part.
Okay?
And what do they think? That by opening up a relationship, it's going to be solved?
Okay?
Many times, if the relationship stays loving, well, it works very well, but then comes the ultimate test of love, of what it means to love. For you, is loving about controlling or about letting go?
Okay, let's see. Define that for me because clearly people would say, no, well, let them be free.
Of course.
But it hurts me and then.
It becomes selfish. It hurts me.
So then he doesn't love me anymore.
No.
Because he hurts me.
I prefer that they understand it as it hurts me. I want you to change a behavior, a thought, and for it all to be for my convenience. Does that seem loving to you?
Obviously not. It's very selfish.
You stop seeing the other person's need, which is also there, just different, and their need hurts you, it hurts the other person too. So it's a mirror. It hurts me that you want this, not being the only person, not feeling special. If you don't desire me, it means to me that you don't love me. How can you suggest this to me? All these arguments have a counter-argument. I do love you, but I need variety. Yes, I love you, but for me, sex is not love. He does love you.
So what does that "yes, I love you" look like? I mean, in your definition of love, what is it like to love you even if this happens?
For me, they are actions, verbs that have to be defined not by me, but between them. I have defined my loving verbs with the people I love, with my daughter, with my husband, with my mom. You know, they did understand because we talked about it that for me, loving is sharing, appreciating, being grateful, listening with curiosity, communicating with courage. Only what's relevant, don't tell me everything. For me, loving is not abusing your power.
Of their power over you?
Of your power. If you want to love, don't abuse the power you have over the other person. Whether it's because you have power over her because he or she is in love with you, or because you have more financial power. So, but to love, the verb I like the most is to set free. But free from what? I set free those I love from having to meet my expectations, from having to satisfy my needs.
Wow. You just hit the nail on the head. I mean, people are going to go crazy right now because people get married, fall in love, live in relationships many times without even realizing it. To meet their own expectations as well as social and family expectations, and to have their needs met, emotional, financial, sexual, parenting needs, all of them. So I love it, but you're letting the Matrix know that you've woken up. I mean, how do we let people know? How can you see it in daily life, for example? Beyond, we'll get back to non-monogamy in a moment. What does that look like? Because there's something, a term that we all know, which is emotional responsibility. Your actions can hurt me. The things you do or don't do can hurt me. And we're together to build this project together. And without a doubt, expectations get involved, maybe not very fanciful ones.
But I'm going to challenge your emotional responsibility in two people who love each other. Yeah? Have a competition to see who can be more generous with the other. Because if you are emotionally responsible for me, you understand that everything you do can affect me. But since I am responsible, emotionally responsible for you, and I know that, I take responsibility for myself. And I tell you, look, don't stop loving yourself in order to love me. I can too. The only thing I want, Johnny, is for you to tell me if you still want to build a life with me. Because I also need to know if we have a common purpose. Where do I stand?
But notice how they start to mix, how the meanings start to clash. So let's try to clarify it as nicely as possible. Because look, you just said something very beautiful. It's, I love you, but I love myself too. I'm not going to leave myself behind in the end. Because if I'm not okay, forget about me being a good ally and a good team for this project. Up to that point, beautiful.
Yes.
But then you mentioned something that says to build.
Yes.
In that building and in that team, there's a dance
Totalmente.
of needs and expectations, as we were saying, where I'm going to cover mine, but there are things I do expect from you for this project. There are things I do need from you.
In loving without controlling, which is my topic, you can ask for anything you want, but you have to be clear about what it means to make a request and what it means to control. Making a request always includes accepting a no as an answer and not changing the way you love me. Because when I say no to something you asked me for, then you make a face like this, you give me the silent treatment. You sigh with the victim's face. All of that is control. You're doing that so that I change my behavior.
You have me overstimulated. I love it. I mean, I have so many questions, more questions than answers. Let's see. So we go back to the idea that the jewel of every marriage, couple, or relationship is the agreement. I'm proposing to you, asking, and you tell me so we can agree.
I think this is self-love, having worked on yourself. Coming into this relationship having worked on yourself more, where you will keep working on yourself because your partner will always trigger your fears. But you don't have to ask your partner to solve them for you.
No, I agree.
So she has to resolve her fears. If you and I are going to build, for example, when Miguel came into my life, I already had, 10 years of having lived in an open, let's say, loving relationship. Loving up to a point because I was still controlling, wanting to know everything. Later, I stopped controlling with that because I realized I didn't like it. When I met Miguel, when Miguel came into my life, I recognized him as someone with whom I wanted to start a family. From day one, and he can tell you this himself, from day one I told him everything I wanted because I was already clear about it. There was self-awareness. I wasn't wasting time to see if you would give me what I wanted. I was already looking for it. And it's almost like when you do a casting for a movie or you hire someone, you tell them, this is what I'm looking for in my project.
To build.
I want to build with someone who knows how to love without controlling.
That's already expected and agreed upon.
Yes, let's say it's an expectation, but there hasn't been an agreement. You have to tell me.
Of course, agreed.
If you agree.
Exactly.
So when I put that on the table for my mic, he reacted like that and said to me, but what do you want? A little permission, right? So I said,
Several guys.
no way, why would you think that? I already went through it and told him I don't want a relationship where I need permission.
Of course, exactly. Permission implies control and superiority.
And loving means taking you into account. So don't worry about asking me for permission, nor about me. You will never need to ask me for permission because I want to be the platform for you to live, not for you to stop living.
I'm going to push here to clarify this nuance.
Of course, of course, of course.
Because there are a lot of people who are very confused about these things and these terms. And I see here you talk about self-love. That's what makes you the ideal partner to build with. That's the strong partner.
Don't lose yourself so you don't lose them.
Up to that point, I totally agree, and I think people are following us perfectly. You have to come into the project in a good place yourself. You can't come in expecting others to carry you or drag you along.
Or with the willingness to work on it, because you also heal through relationships.
100%, but just don't show up acting like a child or trying to be macho or as a victim. No, you show up right. And from there, you're going to reach several other levels because marriage is a gateway to many levels. Okay, so from dating and obviously in a relationship and marriage, things are laid out. I want this. I know that I'm consistent with this. What about you? The other person can just say, no thanks, we won't meet again.
Of course.
Or, well, I like the project, I agree with it, let's build.
Let's explore it first.
Let's explore, okay?
First we explore because that was the first day, but first we have to keep exploring. We have to let the fruit we just found ripen.
Okay?
Don't eat it raw or unripe, you know?
I mean, do you test it?
The relationship matures over time. How? With the same enthusiasm you bring to that project, you have to have for the relationship or for getting to know each other. Like, what do you trigger in me? What do I trigger in you? How do we get along before we commit?
Okay.
I don't. Committing is almost like deciding if we're going to have kids. Because as long as there are no kids, from my point of view, you can break off a commitment and maybe you'll feel really bad and the other person will too. But there aren't children who never asked to be born.
I feel the same way.
To get to the point of pulling and saying you belong to me and the jealousy and all that, we end up teaching them not to love.
I feel exactly the same way. I love it. But then, let's see, in the relationship from the very beginning, because otherwise it would be lying, you have to bring this up.
I mentioned it on the first day before we started dating.
From the very first date?
It was the very first one. Day one when you could tell he really liked me, Mike, and he told me, I'm going to marry you. Inside, I thought he has no idea. And it took me 20 more minutes to tell him why he had no idea. And I laid my cards on the table, starting with my bisexuality. I'm not monogamous. From this, how this evolved, what I thought about monogamy, which for me will never be a sign that I love you. It's like fidelity and infidelity. For me, exclusivity is a sign of fear.
Okay.
See? And it's hard to achieve in human beings, right? It doesn't mean that I haven't seen two conscious people after asking a lot of questions and knowing what they're getting into, maybe because they're trained, but both want monogamy and it works. But they love each other in every other way. There's that little bit of control, a small lock of exclusivity, but they're not watching each other, hypervigilant, cursing at each other.
And how did that look, Adriana? I mean, for example, how did he react?
Well, so I told him all of this and said, it's just that you don't want to marry me. I don't want this and I do want this. And he said, well, now I feel more like getting married. So I thought, let's see. He was 35 years old and I was 29.
Uh-huh.
So he had already experienced those things. He already had what your married friends tell you about.
Yeah.
And suddenly the woman shows up telling him this before getting married.
Okay.
But he also started to feel afraid, like, what am I going to feel the day that you... So I started to calm him down. I told him, look, first, let's just live what we're feeling with our whole bodies, which is being in love.
Uh-huh.
Let's live it without fear. Because also falling in love is super exclusive.
Yes.
When you fall in love with someone, it's almost rare to fall in love with two people that strongly. But of course, you can love a person.
And fall in love with someone else.
That's what I told him from the beginning of our relationship, because I said, Mike, I'm scared to build a life project with you, to have children, and then suddenly, because you feel that sex with me isn't as fun anymore, I don't feel like it anymore because you seem too familiar to me and I'm tired, or whatever the reason, you tell me you're going to be with someone else to have sex? Question. And I told him very clearly, do you want this relationship to be based on sex or on friendship?
Okay, what did he say?
On friendship. I told him, then we can make sex free.
Okay.
And I want you to never stop having a crush. Experience them. If you want a crush that lasts 3 years, that's even better for me, because honestly, seeing you change from person to person, maybe it even feels safer for me if you don't do that. But what I want is something, and this is my request as someone who doesn't control. It's just a request. I want to know if you're willing to make me feel special. As if I were the only one. I don't want to know what you do. I don't want to tell you what I do. I don't want to share with you something that I want for myself.
But let's see. A lot of questions come up, but I love it. I mean, I really like this thing about friendship because I think that how many relationships would be better if the people in that relationship were friends, right? Not the provider and the housewife, or not the mother and the son. I mean, friends, sexuality comes naturally from there, and from there come wonderful agreements like this one or 1,000 others that don't have.
I like what you said, because there are people who think that if we're friends, then we can't have sex, and they say it's just that we're only roommates. Look, you have a good roommate who's a good friend. Let it go, set it free, hug that friend, let them be your companion and free up sex, and you'll see that maybe one day you'll end up having sex with that friend.
Yes, it's very likely.
But you don't have to have sex.
And in these agreements, you mention me, fine, let's open up, or free, which is the word sex. But don't tell me anything about what you do. I'm not going to tell you, but let's see. You live together, right or not?
Always.
Okay?
Since the first day we got married. Well, we never stopped seeing each other after that.
But let's see, let's think. I'm going to set up a scene, right? Obviously, so he comes in, I don't know, he had 2 or 3 drinks. He comes in happy, he had his date, he did his things, everything. And you're in bed, calmly watching television, and he comes in smelling like another woman. Let's set up the scene like that.
That never happens, but I want to end it now. I'll explain why it doesn't. When you love yourself, you don't come home smelling like someone else.
I like it.
I mean, here
You try not to hurt.
I'm always going to put that we love each other before without controlling ourselves. Okay.
Okay? I care for you because I love you.
Of course.
Okay, I like it.
And I don't take care of you. I don't take care of you. I take care of what I have with you because I want this to keep being that safe base so I can keep enjoying the party life we have outside, but always come back to a place where I have stability, a certain stability. I have belonging, family, what I really wanted. I'm not that sexual, Johnny. And there are so many people like that, especially women who, I mean, people would almost laugh when I say this because, yes, I've had my lovers, right? But even so, once I was talking to a lady who wrote an amazing book, Sandra Bravo, and the book is really good and it's called All That I Don't Know How to Explain to My Mother. She told me, it's just that you're demisexual. Apparently, she has studied it and knew all the labels. And I said to her, what is this demisexual thing? Is it hard for you to have casual sex? For me, it's very hard to have casual sex. First, I connect with someone and I have to feel connected. And I take my time to connect, and then my desire to have sex might come up. I fall within the spectrum, let's say, of asexuality, because there are people who are megasexual and can have sex with 3 people in one day. And I'm not judging them. It's great that they can do that.
They're just different ways.
Yes, they're different styles, different DNA.
Yes, neural connections and DNA and everything.
But why would my connection, my DNA, affect yours if we want to love each other? What if you're much more sexual than I am and I'm not?
Okay, I like it. And I also like the part about how I love myself. I mean, how I love what we're building and I love you. So I'm not going to come and hurt this. I love that. But that's why I don't come home smelling like someone else. Since I love myself, I also take care of my presence, my image in front of you. I love myself. I won't come home drunk.
Let's see, we kept this hidden for 20 years. Our relationship. We never said I never talked about this.
Okay, but here comes something. Let's get to everyday life. I mean, I'm going to push you to the specific case so people can relate. You say, let's not share, take care of yourself, come home showered, whatever. That's not the agreement, but more or less. That's what we're trying to say. Take care of yourselves and take care of the environment, both of you. But there's the typical question of how was your day? How are you? What? There you have to omit or not tell? How does it work?
That's exactly what he asked me. But if you don't want us to tell each other what's going to happen, I mean, how are we going to be able to do this in case I want to or you want to? And I told him, well, keep your little secrets. You don't have to tell me everything you do. I didn't say lie to me because that sounds bad. But I told him,
Leave it out.
no, leave it out. Lie to me.
Ah, okay.
Lie to me for love, let's say.
Of course, I mean, be careful with what you tell me.
Have your private life. You don't belong to me.
Yes.
You have a privacy that's very important to you. I understand that because it's important to me too.
That's nice because there's a lot of agreement, but if you keep asking, why don't you tell me? Or why don't you say it? You're sabotaging yourself.
In 33 years, neither he nor I have pressured each other to know anything.
Okay?
And what's more, we have an agreement. If someone comes and tells us, the answer he and I plan to give is, and what did he look like? Was he very happy? So they know that the team is him and me.
Of course, it's a, Yeah, nobody's going to come here and butt in.
You can't expose me if they see my mic with someone else.
And there's no problem with that either.
Don't even bother telling me.
I mean, in your agreement, he can go to restaurants or travel, anything, and there's no problem. You too.
Look, obviously, since we love each other and going back to how I take care of this relationship, I'm not going to be making out with someone in a restaurant.
Of course.
I'll do it after the restaurant.
Of course.
In my privacy.
I like that.
That's very different. And why would anyone have to know?
Okay. Now, we already saw that, I mean, you brought it up from the beginning. He liked the idea, and it has worked for 33 years. My respects. But there are people who don't have to bring it up from the beginning and who can show up when the marriage already needs something different.
Those are my clients right now.
Okay?
People who didn't have this epiphany like I did, or a smart and sensitive partner like Miguel. Because that To be able to live what I write in my book, I needed Mike's love of his personal security, that he had lived everything he had lived until he met me in order to have the courage that is required to love.
Here, I'm going to ask you a question. Polygamy, a lot of people will see it as emotional abundance and others as emotional lack or something you can't give or are missing that you're trying to compensate for. Would you say that polygamy comes from emotional abundance or from emotional lack?
From both. I mean, it's not one or the other. There are some people who, like us, have had a few crushes. I don't know about Mike, but I'm talking about myself. I've had a few crushes throughout my marriage with Mike that were really nice. Nobody found out. Where I saw myself through the eyes of other people. Where I felt very fulfilled, and I would arrive, and if I asked myself, how do you see yourself? You look radiant. I am happy, right? But I am a person who is in love with life, and that's a tip. If you don't want people to check you out and look at you weird, live happily so that no one ever sees you happier just because you're in love. Because it's really hard to hide when you're in love. So what do? Fall in love with your project, fall in love with your daughter, fall in love with your husband, with his project. I'm always in love. So it's really hard for you to tell when I'm in love with someone else.
Of course, you live in a constant state of joy because you're in love with everything.
Yes.
I really identify with you on that. I can fall in love, let's put it that way, with a person during a conversation, and suddenly with a child running by, it's like you live in love.
Exactly.
But then, how do we connect that? Is it from emotional lack or emotional abundance?
So we did it from abundance. That's the example of abundance. There are a lot of people who are experiencing it, even though we are a large majority. Worldwide, we are very few. But there are already many people wanting this loving awareness that gives us peace and also allows us to leave a loving legacy to our children. We never talk about that when we're discussing these kinds of things, but children are a vital part of gaining awareness.
Of course.
And the others who do it out of lack, it's like, I don't even know how to tell my husband or my wife that I don't want it anymore. Sometimes I even have sex just because I have to, and I have maintenance sex, but I hate it. And I want something, and they tell me just like that, I want something that makes me feel alive. I want something that makes me feel alive. So how do you distinguish the lack? Because they are waiting for their partner to make them feel alive.
Of course.
Instead of feeling alive because they are.
Of course.
And check what shortcomings you have in your mind that make you survive instead of actually living.
Of course. And that's when they go and look for that feeling of being alive in someone else's arms or in other things.
And they're only going to achieve it for a while. But since they come with emotional needs, they're going to cling to the person who made them feel alive, ask things of them, try to control them, do things that will eventually make that other person feel suffocated too. And it's a never-ending story.
And that's the addict cycle. I need more to feel less. Every time I need more to feel less. And since I don't feel anything here anymore, I go and look somewhere else. So we could say that non-monogamy, as you describe it very well, or polygamy for many people is born from emotional abundance. If you are truly happy with yourself, good with your partner, and it's an agreement.
Ethical, open.
And without removing the project as a priority.
And without competition. Hey, I've had two boyfriends and you've had 4.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter since I have that ability and you don't.
And from a place of lack is when you try to feel better or want to make up for something that's missing in your marriage without talking about it and things like that. Or you can't control your sexual impulses.
And I love what you're saying because this is when I can tell you very clearly. The only way for an open relationship to work is for it to remain loving. And here comes my equation, which I love. Not all open relationships are loving, but all loving relationships, truly loving ones, are open.
Can you explain that a bit more?
I'll repeat it. Think about it. Not all open relationships, which we're already seeing, are romantic. Because fears come in, wanting control, wanting you to do things and take care of me.
If they're not open from a place of love.
And all loving relationships are open because no one is going to control who you love.
But there I would say that would be something utopian or ideal for people who can resonate with what we're talking about. Not everyone will want it, but those who relate will. But I don't see that. I mean, I do see people who love each other, but since they're poorly taught, they have those limitations. So, no, I wouldn't rule out that it's love, but maybe it's a kind of love that still has things it can polish in its diamond. You know what I mean? I mean, these parts.
I agree. Okay. Because I'm more drastic about that, about saying don't call something love if it's not.
Okay.
Don't call something love if it's not. Find another word.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm evolving. I want semi-love. I don't know.
Because love, Adriana, is also about building yourself and building that love. And it doesn't work out from day one, right? So you keep working on it, you keep learning, you keep letting go.
I like to explain what I feel, how I see it. When people talk about love, about working on love, I want to clarify for myself how I see it. Love for me is a feeling.
Yes. Okay.
That you won't recognize until I show it. You have strong evidence of that love. And love always inspires kind things. If you did something that isn't kind, you're not living or building a loving environment with me. For me, when you talk about love, I immediately translate it to a loving environment, what you and I build when we love each other.
Even when it doesn't always feel so nice.
But when we don't love each other, you can't call it love. Now, I understand we as human beings don't love consistently all the time. Sometimes you didn't sleep well, so I wake up, I yell at you, boom. In that moment of yelling, I don't love you anymore. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree.
But then I become aware and say, oh, I'm going to apologize, Johnny. I don't know what. I come and apologize to you, and our love goes back up. If we live like this, we're not going to make it.
It's very exhausting.
What Miguel and I were aiming for was to keep this little line that marks, let's say, loving as consistent as possible.
Okay.
As an action.
Exactly. I agree with you. And after 33 years of marriage, I would like to think that they consolidated it and reached that point where the graph can remain more stable. But did they have these peaks you're talking about during the first years of marriage or not? Because there's an interesting aspect here. Love is built. We agree on that. And of course, part of building it is healing wounds, learning to communicate, love languages, agreements, and we could talk about 1,000 things. But when I started this episode, I said a lot of people enter relationships through the door of their wounds, and those spikes when you enter through your wounds are super typical. Typical, I was going to say, yes, typical. And those are your opportunities to say, this isn't right, so I go back and try to do better next time.
And it's my opportunity as your partner to be patient with you, to distinguish, to say, he's not always like that.
Exactly.
So you learn to turn away when I see that you're tense. I mean, you develop that. You have to use your creativity to maintain a loving relationship. And Miguel and I have developed it very well. But sometimes I feel like today I'm not going to like Miguel that much.
Of course.
And I avoid him. And I leave for the whole day. Yeah? Why would I want to be with a crazy Mike who has his own issues? Why? And that's why I left a long time ago. The responsibility of making Miguel feel good. You can't imagine how wonderful that is.
I agree, and vice versa too. I mean, it's your responsibility to feel good. Up to that point, I agree. But it's also something I really value, and I want your opinion. It's my responsibility. But it's like, there are moments when I need your company. How? Maybe I want to vent without making it your problem. Maybe I want you to give me some perspective. Maybe I want, like, I don't know, something because we're on this journey together.
Yes.
And without me being an ogre, right? Where I'm just spewing all my garbage in front of you. There are times when you, Adriana, well, at least I do, when my wife isn't trying to make me feel better, but she's there next to me while I calm myself down or vent or something. It feels nice because she holds my hand when I'm not well, but sometimes she also tells me to get lost, you know?
Yes, of course, because let me tell you, you can also fall into that, into me doing that. And I would have to just stay there like a satellite around the person who, no. What I did was run away until he asked me. Learn to ask me.
Ah, I do it.
I need to talk to you.
I get it now.
Most of the men I've been involved with don't know how to ask.
No, we're not.
They want you to read their minds, and I don't read minds. So, yes, I said, well, until he realizes it, I'm going to protect myself from you.
Yes.
When I ask people, tell me 7 loving verbs that are vital for you and your relationship with your partner, ending in R, or ear. Tell me yours.
7 loving verbs that end in R.
Well, all verbs do. They all end in R, or er. Tell me which ones they are.
To care, to listen, to provide. To be there, I mean, I'm looking for the verb.
Yes, very good, very good.
To say, right? I mean, yes. To communicate, I already said listen.
Okay, look, the first verb you told me is the one everyone tells me.
Which one?
To take care.
Take care.
Okay, the question is, what are you going to protect me from? Think about your wife.
Me? Yes, me, look. I think of it as giving that space of security. Me, my agreements are very traditional, and I am. In the agreement, we have this person who tries to take care of things on an emotional level. No, 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 not to control you, not to make your things mine. But I am someone, like a friend, like that friend who listens to you, who reflects things back to you, who takes care of you, who says, hey, maybe you're not seeing this. I hold you to keep the fire under control.
How beautiful.
That's for me to take care of.
I like to make it easier for people so they don't get lost in the abstract, in the emotional. I think the only nice way, there are several very easy ways to establish this in non-monogamous relationships and in monogamous relationships. I protect you from my fears, from my bad moods, from my frustration.
From my ability to hurt you. In fact, I wrote about it in my book.
From my ability to hurt you, exactly. And I protect you from sexually transmitted diseases. This is a great topic.
Yes.
And we have to be perfectly clear about it.
Yes.
Because there are thousands of people who say they love their partner but don't take care of them there.
Still, yes, totally, even when they're not openly non-monogamous.
That's why I said among monogamous people, as you mentioned, 98% are monogamous, not non-monogamous.
Supposed statistic?
Hey, openly non-monogamous people.
Exactly. I really like that and we resonate a lot. However, of course, that's what I'm telling you. Even if you practice it, because I've learned that a lot. I even wrote it in my book that's about to come out, which is called Don't Get Married. Without knowing this, it's like I realized that one of the things, and I hadn't related it to this question, but I loved how we managed to match it, is that loving has a lot to do with protecting the person from your ability to hurt them.
It's not abusing your own being.
Exactly. And many times, because look, marriage has taught me things that no book taught me, that no course taught me, things I've learned about myself, about relationships. It's been interesting, and I haven't been married long. Imagine how it will be.
How many years have you been together?
4 years living together, which for me was like getting married. Now I understand. And it's been 2 years since we got married.
Oh, wow, you're newlyweds to me.
The thing is, I'm someone who, as you can see, loves all of this, and I see it in 4K. So, when the newlywed should have just been floating in happiness, I took Karen, and let me tell you, I admire Karen for her capacity for growth and awareness on a journey of self-discovery, and I keep taking her, and she takes me too. Huge. And so, right now we're already coming out of that, but we went through some things where I learned this, which is many times we end up hurting the other person without realizing it because of what you said. Because I come and I overflow and I carry all this and you start to notice it. So it's, how do I take care of you without stopping myself from opening my heart so you can see what I'm going through? Speaking from your own experience is a responsibility.
It's beautiful to learn how to do it.
That's it.
To love without controlling.
That's it.
For me, it's the journey of self-discovery. It's the most intense journey I've ever taken, and I started it when I was 21.
Yes.
I met Mike when I was 29.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter already knows. She knows. She knows by the way her dad and I interact. In such a loving way that we can't control ourselves. She doesn't see it like other people do. And who they sleep with, she's the first person. No, Sophie never asked us that. She just said, "Wow, Mom, now I understand why I feel so different." And I said, "What is that?" "It's just that I was programmed differently, Mom."
It's different.
He saw us making love.
Of course.
That's the only thing Mike and I have done. It doesn't matter if we've had crushes or not. You don't stop loving the person. Here's a topic that drives everyone crazy with jealousy. Jealousy, it blows everyone's minds and makes them jealous, which is, it's not possible to love two people at the same time. And then my question comes up, why not? Or are you confusing love with sexual desire? Because loving is not the same as sexual desire.
I totally agree. And it's, look, for those of us who seek to love from this, from that meaning we've come to together, of building something with you,
Growing old with you?
growing old with you, and I'm going to build and give the best of myself. I won't try to control you and will share my feelings without blaming you or making you responsible for them. I'll also do everything else we've discussed. Just one is enough. I mean, it's a huge job just to love one person. For me, it's humanly impossible. For me. But falling in love, yes.
But look, no, you're not. No. Here's what I think. As a human, of course, it's possible for you to love many people.
As a partner, no.
No, but there it is. As a partner, the only thing that sets her apart from all the other loves is that I have sex with her. And that's where my question comes in. Why are we combining sexual desire with love?
Okay, I like it. I'll go along with you, but I do feel, for example, for me, building a loving relationship with my sister, which is, there's love.
Yes, of course.
It involves many of the things that are in my marriage partner, but I do feel it's much more intense because it's 24/7 with your partner. So that's why I tell you that for me.
Oh, now I understand you. You're not talking about sex. You're talking about daily life together.
Exactly. About that project we want to build.
You felt it with your sister when you lived with her. And you almost had the same arguments or the same feeling of suffocation that you get when you have a husband or a wife.
Yes.
Totally agree.
So that's why I say that for me, it would be emotionally, I can't do it. I mean, I'm really 100% committed to this emotionally speaking.
Hey, let Karen love you without controlling you, and you'll see, of course, it's possible.
Fall in love, right?
Beautiful. Also, because at that moment when I was in love and loving at the same time, literally, I was with a friend and I said, "This is my ideal state."
I totally agree with that. I'm going to clarify and close this here. To love and to fall in love, I agree because we're not even debating. We're just demystifying.
Yes.
Because, for example, I love my wife and I've been in Mexico for 15 days. I love being here on the podcast in my world.
But do you already want to leave?
But yes, but I know that my place, my home is over there and I already miss her.
How beautiful.
Honestly, yes, but I couldn't live a double life. Loving with that same commitment, I don't know.
You just don't love us committedly. First, we need to clarify.
That infatuation.
The commitment. The only one to grow old with someone to write a life story is with Miguel. You can't write a life, or it's much harder with several people, with people. I don't want to call them lovers. I don't love them. These wonderful people who spark something new in your feelings, who help you get to know yourself better. You don't have to give them your whole life. There's no commitment of forever, like let's grow old together. And when there isn't, sometimes it just happens. It only happens in their world because it's a world outside of the world, outside of the family universe. Here, there's a family universe that you protect. The others are like satellites, or let's say comets. You probably know what I'm talking about, that sometimes come close to this.
Okay?
You go out, you experience and see things, you fill yourself with things that in no way the person who lives with you for many, many years can give you anymore. Only someone who sees you again as someone new. That novelty gets into your soul and into the other person's too, but it doesn't have to affect anything. That's all. If you're attached to romantic thinking, that's what's going to happen to you.
Of course, you'll think it's love, not just infatuation.
Why? Because you want one single person to give you everything, and we're not capable of doing that. When you realize it, both of them are a couple who love each other. Do you realize that? Loving each other without trying to control each other feels like a balm, let's say.
Okay, I like it. And now, how strong does a marriage have to be so it doesn't break when making these non-monogamy agreements? Or how much can it solidify if these agreements are made? Because maybe the stress is what's been killing it.
What I think is that what gets solidified is not the marriage. You, your ideas, your beliefs that you can't, that you can, about what should be, about what would be ideal. And all of this is what you have to start bringing yourself to say. I've already reached this point. Like me, when I went to Mike and told him, this is what I believe. I can't love you if I'm going to control you. The moment I control you, I stop loving.
I like that. It takes emotional intelligence.
A lot.
How do you practice it?
What you just said is vital. You can only achieve this by practicing. How do I learn to love? By loving.
I mean, at first Mike did get a bit stressed. And what did that look like?
It looked like love because he would tell me and I would say, do you want me to throw them away? For example, one day he found some letters from Wells, someone who had written me letters, and he said, oh, I read them. I don't know. I feel such terrible jealousy. Here comes our generosity competition. He is generous and shares his feelings with me. I generously ask him, do you want me to burn them? They're from my past and I like to read them sometimes, but if you want, I'll burn them. He responds to me with even more generosity. He says, don't do it.
If he said yes, isn't that control or is it just your offer?
No, I could have said no and he would have had to deal with that. Of course, but me in this case, in the example I'm giving, I would have burned them 100%.
Okay?
I understand who my priority is.
Of course.
I do have a priority.
Of course.
It was my family. It still is. I just say was because Sophia has been living in Australia for 6 years now.
How do you manage in a country like Mexico, which is hypocritical, a bit uptight, where many people are not monogamous but not openly so? How has it been for you to live as yourself and with these kinds of arrangements in this country?
At first, it was really hard for me because remember, I've come out of a lot of closets. Out of the closet of not being heterosexual, out of the closet of no longer being religious, out of the closet of loving eroticism. And as a photographer, I started taking nude photos, and then I made my first book of erotic stories and nude photography, and that's when I realized you're in a world that likes it. But only if you give them your book on a sheet of paper, in a brown paper bag, because they can't take your book home. I started to realize how it was hurting us, because if so many people are living, wanting to genuinely express that you love, but you want something else and that you can build, and that you want to build, but not under losing your freedom, that's when, with my characteristic rebelliousness, I wanted to publish this book. And today I feel that I'm not as uncomfortable as I thought I would be. Because through social media, all of this was a huge surprise for me, you know? 5 years ago, I wasn't on Instagram.
Okay.
So imagine what it's like for me to have more than 300,000 followers, which is very few compared to yours. Well, for me, it's a big deal.
That's a lot.
A world of people telling me, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for telling me. It's just that I'll show you when we finish. An audio from a lady yesterday telling me, oh, you showed up at the most perfect moment in my life. You know?
And do you think that when you post something or talk about this in these kinds of episodes, people make it more controversial because there will be controversy?
Always.
Because they don't get the topic? Or is it really a topic maybe we're not ready for, but a topic that
I think my topic is very loving.
I feel, let me tell you something. Look, I talk a lot about beautiful love and I try to build it. And clearly, look, I want to, and I say it openly, and my wife knows it. I always talk with Karen, my wife, and I say, look, anyone who says they don't feel attraction or an unfulfilled desire, but that you like someone, that someone catches your attention, or that sometimes talking with someone you might feel something is lying. They're lying. It's another thing if you decide to follow your impulse or want to open up.
Those are the comments, Johnny. Yes, but we're not animals. We could control ourselves. I always say that these people who are talking haven't examined their beliefs. This is a programming of how you should be, and that everything related to sex, it has to be contained. Stop. Don't let it flow. Let's see. What is sex for these people? For me, it's a game of connection with another adult person, someone who is aware and who consciously chooses to play with me. And what I see the most, even with these people, or at least I imagine so because I don't know them, but from everything I talk about with people, it's that sex is used more to control than to have pleasure. They forgot about eroticism. There isn't a single time you'll be able to have pleasurable sex if there's pressure and obligation.
I agree. And look, not everything is for everyone. I invite you to examine your beliefs and your results. If you see that you like the results in your life, then go ahead. Because then it means you're being consistent in everything, which is what happens to me. Today, I like how my relationship is.
Of course.
If at some point I see that I'm feeling a huge amount of stress and I look for new agreements,
You talk to me.
I'm going to talk to you along with Karen and we're going to have a conversation. But as of today, we're not there yet. And I don't have to open up just because I think it's more modern or it's the thing or it's the trend. No. It's about how each of us can be happy and how we can feel free in a relationship, loving without clashing. Because saying I'm in traditional mode but I'm cheating in secret.
That's why I say don't go along with the idea that we weren't talking about opening up a relationship.
Exactly.
No, about how to do it. We were talking about what it means to love.
Exactly.
Don't get confused.
And look, we've gone back and forth in a very nice ping pong. Because even though love still has many myths and we were breaking them down, we ended up with some really beautiful things. Where I really think that one of them is freedom. At least to propose something, to say, hey, I'm interested in this, I would like this, and from there you'll see if the project...
Without freedom, there is no love.
There is no love.
There are no possibilities.
There's need, codependency, and submission. Everything except love.
No.
We get confused because we were taught incorrectly and think what we saw at home is love. We believe that what we see in soap operas is love. We believe that what we see in songs is love.
Yes.
You believe in your ideal world, you believe that if we were all not only free in love, but also had sexuality, because that's a topic I want to get into a bit more free. Knowing where our house is, our home, our project, do you think this loving and relationship world would be better? Would we avoid so much suffering?
It would be much less hostile.
In what way?
If you can feel free in your relationship and free in your sexuality, neither of you will be jealous, controlling, hypervigilant, or controlling. And just because of that, the relationship becomes much more beautiful. We would learn, we would know, like I did and like many people do, that just because your partner, Amy, listen carefully to what I'm telling you. If they love or fall in love with someone else, it doesn't mean they've stopped loving you. The most important thing for you to decide what to do with your relationship is to identify whether it is violent or not. And when I say violent, I like to ask for you, is it violent to forbid Karen from doing something? Would that seem violent to you?
For me, yes.
For me too, for me, forbidding is a form of violence. And in this question about the ideal world where all of this, there would be no more prohibitions. And just because of that, there would be less hostility. And if the couple is less hostile, more loving, and feels freer, the children that come from that relationship will also be more loving. They will feel less fear. Because we train them to go out, we almost pass on avoidant and anxious attachments to them instead of a secure attachment.
That's very interesting. Now, for this to happen, would people need to have worked a lot on their self-esteem and self-love? Or do you think
Absolutely.
they're not requirements?
No, they're the foundation.
I think so too.
Or you have good self-esteem, which is what we have damaged. So don't feel bad because we all come damaged in some way. You have to ask the person you meet in what way they're damaged, right?
Many times they don't even know.
No, but you realize that you fell in love with someone who's clueless and that maybe it's going to be harder for you.
Yes.
Your relationship. Don't get into a relationship just because you like the person physically. You have to distinguish that you have already gotten rid of normalizing control and violence.
Agreed. And what do you think is the most emotionally difficult thing about maintaining this kind of agreement, especially when it comes to sexual freedom? Or not necessarily, mainly sexual.
What's the question? What is it that's difficult for me?
What's the biggest challenge you've faced or seen in clients? What do they struggle with the most? Jealousy, self-esteem?
Of course. I only went through it at the beginning, but it was really intense for me. I lost 6 kilos. I thought it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me, that someone would be unfaithful to me. And later, now that I look back, I said, if it hadn't been for that infidelity, I wouldn't be talking to Johnny today.
Adriana, some psychologist out there would say to you, hey, Adriana, don't you think that was a defense mechanism to avoid feeling the pain of infidelity again? What would you say?
I would say, whatever made me feel good, don't question it.
Shut up.
Shut up, because why wouldn't I want to feel good?
Okay.
Letting myself feel good little by little also allows me to keep questioning myself, right? If you're always repressed, you also repress your own questioning.
And it's not just a temporary feeling good. I mean, not anesthesia, but feeling good, something you can sustain.
This wasn't about feeling good. In fact, what I did was go through the discomfort of jealousy. That's how I learned to love without controlling. But people are so afraid of pain and discomfort that they'd rather have you change and make me feel comfortable.
Yes. Now, I'm going to go back to this topic a little bit because I love it and I want to bring it up in the context of Latin society, but mainly Mexican society, which is largely governed by Catholic religion in its beliefs. And that's fine, whatever works for each person. But what I mean is that I've been at tables, Adriana, where I have a friend sending him a kiss. His name is Miguel Marino. That the truth is that he's a person and would make a great friend for you. He has a very open mind about this sexual topic, but he does it, or well, with the girl he used to date, he did it, I think, very well. And so we were sitting at tables and he kind of had some news that he wanted to tell everyone about this, right? And it was like we were like water and oil, but at the same time we complemented each other because I talked about beautiful traditional love in a couple. Honestly, it's not something that I didn't argue about it, and Karen and I know it's available if we ever need it. But it's not something I agree with yet. Freedom, yes, but sexual freedom, not yet. And he was all about absolute sexual freedom. When we were at tables with girls, I don't know, friends of Karen, his sister, my sisters, well, even my mom, He would start talking about these things, and I felt a bit embarrassed, thinking maybe this isn't the right place. They all ended up fascinated.
Of course.
There's a desire, a repression they felt for so long that it was like a breath of fresh air.
Exactly.
They loved it, they wanted to go deeper, and when I talked to them about sweet love, they'd tell me, shut up.
That's my story. I mean, look, it might seem, if you saw me, you'd say the same thing as you did, that I only want to talk about my own topic. But I'm not the one who brings up the topic.
No, it's a taboo, it's something they want to know.
It's something that starts to come up when they ask me, well, what do you do for a living? Well, I've had a photography studio since I was 21. I do this and that, but I also started writing since I was 21 or even before. And what do you write about? No, well, at first I wrote about, and then everything just went downhill.
Tell me more.
Yes, tell me more. No, but that tell me more is about my freedom of expression, about not feeling bad because of what people might say. That is one of the most precious freedoms I have gained. Freedom gives you power. When you say, I agree with all freedoms, but not with sexual freedom, it seems strange to me that you knowing or agreeing with that supposed 98% statistic, you still believe that they will be faithful to you.
Do you think there are no faithful men?
Or women. Why are we talking about men?
I'm asking you about men because women, although statistically they're more unfaithful nowadays, it's like a new wave. But
It's their turn.
Sure. So, is there such a thing as a faithful man? Does he exist?
I think so.
Me too. Is there a faithful woman?
All of them, always. We can't generalize.
Do you think they're the majority? That's the question.
What I do believe is that most people, and there is hard data about that from anonymous surveys, like if 1,000 people promise to be faithful, I mean not having sex with another person, they didn't keep their promise. But more than 50% of them didn't keep it.
Yes.
Because if you, today, if one of these big companies that sell this sold you one, if the reviews told you that for decades this little device hasn't worked or this model hasn't worked, it's failed 50% of the time, would you buy it?
Well, no.
And if they told you that the relational model of monogamy hasn't worked 50% of the time for centuries, would you buy it? Would you adopt it?
Everyone keeps buying it. It's just that.
Without questioning it.
Yes.
And here, yes, here you ask questions, you ask for something else, you do. Why can't we? Because we're not used to criticizing the culture.
That's right. And I, who came in through the door, I think of awareness. Obviously, I'm open to being debated, but about my relationship. And even so, I got into many mirrors of things I wasn't aware of. I tell Karen, my wife, I say, my love, just don't forget that we're swimming against the current. We took a formula, not exactly obsolete, but very complex, that has the statistics against it. My book is called Don't Get Married, which will soon be on sale in June.
That's cool.
Because I know it is. There are ways to improve this. There are ways to fix this phone. There are ways to make it better, but it's not just going to happen because you buy it. It's going to be because you got into the chips and changed some chips.
Exactly.
And then the phone got better.
Yes.
But if you just want to get it because of the wedding, the honeymoon, the ring, the kids, and all this social nonsense, which just sells us a Disney fairy tale, but there's nothing more to it.
But no.
It's not going to work.
They tell you about the little ring, the party, all that, but at a great price. Only you. And woe to you if you're not only with me, if you have relationships with someone else. And to me, that seems super dangerous, even if there isn't another person. Because when you want to and I don't, what's going to happen?
Yes.
Either I have to sacrifice myself or you do.
You know what I like? What you're playing. How many people say just you with me? Okay. And that's in society in general. When someone is unfaithful and others find out, they burn them alive. When many of them don't have the moral authority and have done the same or worse.
Yes.
So I ask you, what's harder? Is it harder to stay exclusive with your impulses and desires or to be transparent and make new agreements?
I would tell you forget about one or the other and just love. Love with your list of beautiful verbs where you don't include sex. Free your partner from this need to make agreements. Let's see, why do people want to make agreements? People ask me a lot. And you and Miguel? I mean, are there rules or what? And I said, look, at the beginning we said or talked about it like no one in our house because we travel and we don't always travel together. So no one in our house. But it was more like a request that we both said, okay, we agree. But I couldn't think, what could I ask Miguel? Because I have this certainty that Miguel loves me. And that just by loving me, he will take care of me, he will consider me, he will do everything possible so that I don't get hurt by any of his wishes. And that's why it has worked. The answer is to love, not how am I going to protect myself from you, because from the start I already believe that you're capable of hurting me.
I like it. However, there's polarity. Here in this society, that's still not accepted. It's a very fresh idea that I like, and I definitely don't rule it out, even though I haven't experienced it sexually yet. In other aspects, yes, and I'm learning many other things. But there's the other side. As they say, hardcore, according to them, faithful, traditional, and all that. On the other side is the one who romanticizes all this and turns it into debauchery.
And a facade.
And a facade? So I think the point that Adriana is making here, and it's beautiful, is you're not even loving in your traditional model where you're cheating under the table or sometimes even get caught, as they say, and you're hurting and controlling. You're also not being loving in this promiscuous model, neglecting your sexual health and risking disease transmission. Right? Your warning is, let's go downtown.
A balance.
A balance?
Yes.
How do you define it? I mean, how would you see it?
I don't know. I liked it. You're the one who's...
I'm bringing it up to you.
You're telling me and I like it. I like it because I know there are a lot of people who think I'm promoting infidelity. That's nonsense. I'm not going to... I've never been unfaithful and I wouldn't like to do it and I'm not going to do it. Yes, and I'm never going to give anyone who connects with me deeply and sexually the chance to be unfaithful to me because I'm not going to make exclusivity agreements with them. So there can't be infidelity if there's no exclusivity agreement. Protect the relationship. With an agreement, that doesn't mean you're going to go have sex right now. You're saying you'll have orgies at your house? That's crazy. I work, I write. My mic does too. We run a photography studio. We have a family. I mean, what do you think? That all of us? We freed sex because we realized how little space it actually took up in our lives. And of course, it was important, but it wasn't important in the same way for him as it was for me. Why? Because we both have different needs. And for me, it seemed very unloving for you to have to adjust to my needs. So since our relationship isn't based on sex, sex is never going to be a problem.
That's an interesting point of view. And now, as we start heading toward the end, though I think I could talk with you for another 2 hours.
Here I am.
All right, we'll go before the meter expires. You talk a lot about freeing sex, but we also discuss how you can experience being in love. To what extent could that infatuation start to affect the relationship? Your committed relationship, like messaging and seeing each other more often?
That's not love. If you're with me, you and I are a couple, and you fall in love. And I catch you talking to me, sending little messages, you're not loving me.
If not with you, should I do it alone?
You love me, but you're not here. Love in the present tense, practice mindfulness with your partners, and you'll see if you'll have a problem. And even if you're with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you're not thinking about your husband or your wife. And I'm not giving tips to be unfaithful. I'm saying you have to know how to love. And to love is to be present.
And I like it because it's very easy to understand. It's as long as you don't hurt your project and the other person, or even yourself, since often you end up hurt the most. Be free.
Yes, but I'll explain what bothers people about what I say. I'm asking you this question. Or to Karen. Could you love Johnny, or could Johnny love Karen without knowing everything they do? No, could you tell them? I don't need you to tell me everything. You're free to do whatever you want.
I think that's how we already live today.
Okay.
After spending 15 days here filming, I honestly only tell her about 10% of what happens because it's impossible to share everything.
But I don't know. We're not talking about sexuality.
Oh, about sexuality?
I'm the one talking. That's not where we are. And that's a big part of it. I mean, you guys, just so people understand, not to use you as my example.
No, but it's understood
But it's understood that you guys still, the way I see it, it's our relationship.
Yes.
It's based on sex. Because if something goes wrong with sex, maybe there's a problem between us. They haven't protected that part.
No, yes, I understand your point of view and the lens through which you see it. Your opinion is very valid because, yes, we are following a traditional model of exclusivity. In our model, it feels protected by the trust we have because we tell each other everything, because if at any moment either of us has a concern, we can bring it up without the other going crazy. We've talked about it, but we haven't gotten there yet.
But I also like what you're telling me. It's almost the same if you can actually talk about everything.
Exactly.
Because where I find myself the most is with people who have been at my table and they agree to tell each other everything. And the problem, I had it at my table yesterday, is I swore to him that I would never lie to him. And when I was so in love, I didn't know how to bring it up. He was traveling. He called me and asked, "Where are you?" I didn't even want to answer him. People panic. You have to learn to believe that your partner can handle anything. Don't protect your partner, believe in them.
Because in the end, that's also control.
No, of course.
It's I don't control the situation.
And everything, almost everything is what you all are doing.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, we're new and I don't know.
And very well.
We're open to many things.
That's the best thing.
And we know that above all, from everything I study and what I learn from people like you, when I invite you and so on, I know that the traditional formula for the cell phone that doesn't work is not the one that's going to lead us to success. So I'm very open, and Karen is too.
That's good.
To keep reinventing ourselves. And I think that's beautiful. Adriana, you don't know how much I enjoyed the conversation. It was a real pleasure. I learned a lot. I hope you all enjoyed it too. If you did, let us know with your comments, with a like, share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. And above all, subscribe so you can get more videos and more podcast episodes. That being said, don't forget that the link to my profile in this episode and on Instagram is available for you to check out my coaching, one-on-one sessions, courses, and more. Adriana, without a doubt, please follow her as well. For people who want to learn or get advice about this for their relationships, first of all, there's the book, Life Partners or Prison Cell, and also your social media. What are they?
On social media, my name is Adriana Reinking.
Perfect.
And I also like people to send me messages. I have a WhatsApp that's open to everyone.
Ah, that's great. Where can they find it?
52 for people who don't live in the Mexican Republic, and 55, 60, 70, 98, 32 for anything you need.
Thank you.
A one-on-one consultation. The course, I'm giving a course called The ABC to Love Without Controlling and Have Pleasurable Sex.
I love it. Well, those who take it will tell us how it goes for them. I'm sure it'll go very well. Thank you so much and see you soon.